Here's a challenge for you. Try to think of one person in your life who you trust completely. Now imagine them doing the one thing that would hurt you most. Your stomach probably just dropped, right? That reaction tells you everything you need to know about how pathetically vulnerable you really are. I'm about to share the one relationship strategy that will make you completely immune to heartbreak. First, I'll explain why unconditional trust is actually emotional suicide. Then, I'll walk you through the betrayal blueprint that maps out your response to every worst-case scenario. Finally, I'll show you how this mindset gives you total emotional freedom. By the end of this video, you'll never fear losing someone again, because you'll know exactly how to protect yourself without closing your heart. Most people think trust is the foundation of love. But what if I told you it's actually the fastest way to destroy yourself? You've been programmed since childhood to believe that deeper love means trusting completely. Your parents told you trust builds stronger relationships. Movies show you that real love means giving someone your whole heart. Society pushes this idea that if you're not trusting blindly, you're not really in love. Here's the truth. This programming is setting you up for complete emotional destruction. Even the most loving partners are capable of devastating betrayal when circumstances change. That person who swears they'd never hurt you, they're human. Humans change their minds when they face pressure, temptation, or new opportunities. Your perfect partner might drain your bank account if they develop a gambling addiction. They might cheat if they meet someone who makes them feel young again. They might abandon you completely if caring for you becomes too difficult or too expensive. These aren't evil people. They're just people, responding to situations you never saw coming. Think about this. Complete trust leads to financial ruin faster than any other relationship mistake. You give them access to your accounts because you trust them. You co-sign loans because you believe in their promises. You make major purchases together without protecting yourself legally. When they betray that trust, you don't just lose a relationship. You lose your house, your credit, your retirement savings. Some people spend decades recovering from financial betrayal by someone they trusted completely. The emotional devastation runs even deeper than the money. People who trust without limits suffer more severe psychological damage when betrayed. Your brain literally cannot process the shock effectively. When it's completely unprepared, you experience something called betrayal trauma, where your nervous system gets stuck in a state of hypervigilance and emotional chaos. Recovery takes years, not months, because your entire worldview gets shattered along with your heart. Here's what's really happening in your brain during betrayal. Your trust mechanisms evolved for small tribes, where everyone knew everyone else. Back then, betrayal meant death or exile from the group. Your ancestors developed strong emotional responses to keep the tribe together. But modern relationships expose you to endless temptations and opportunities that didn't exist thousands of years ago. Your partner faces dozens of potential affairs through dating apps. They handle financial stress your ancestors never imagined. Your primitive brain keeps telling you to trust completely, while your modern world makes that trust extremely dangerous. Your biological response to unexpected betrayal shuts down your ability to think clearly. Stress hormones flood your system. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that makes rational decisions, goes offline. You make terrible choices in the immediate aftermath because your brain is in survival mode. You beg them to stay. You blame yourself for their actions. You ignore obvious red flags because you're desperate to return to the safety of trust. This is why unprepared minds suffer so much more damage than those who saw betrayal coming. There's a way to love deeply without becoming emotionally defenseless. You can feel genuine affection and commitment while keeping your eyes wide open. The strongest relationships actually happen between people who understand each other's capacity for harm. When both partners know they could hurt each other but choose not to, that creates real security. Here's the truth. Unconditional trust is actually emotional suicide, and smart people always keep one eye open. You can love someone completely while preparing for the possibility they might hurt you. This isn't cynicism or paranoia. It's emotional intelligence. And now, I'm going to show you exactly how expecting betrayal makes you a better partner, not a worse one. Here's something that will blow your mind. The people who prepare for betrayal are the ones who rarely experience it. This happens because preparation changes how you show up in relationships. When you're ready for anything, you stop acting desperate or needy. You make better choices about who you trust and when. Most importantly, you become the type of person others don't want to betray because they know you'll handle it well. The betrayal blueprint is a mental map of worst-case scenarios and your exact responses to each one. Think of it like having a fire escape plan for your house. You hope you'll never need it, but knowing it exists lets you sleep peacefully at night. Your blueprint covers three main areas: infidelity, financial betrayal, and emotional abandonment. For each scenario, you map out exactly what you'll do, where you'll go, and how you'll protect yourself. You might think planning for betrayal means you don't really love your partner. That's backwards thinking. True love requires courage, and courage comes from knowing you can survive whatever happens. When you love someone, but know you'll be okay without them, that's when you can give freely without fear. Planning for betrayal actually frees you to love more deeply because you're not constantly worried about losing everything. Let's break down how to create your blueprint. Start by identifying your partner's potential weak points and your own vulnerabilities. Maybe your partner struggles with alcohol and gets flirty when drunk. Maybe they have massive student debt and feel financial pressure. Maybe they've cheated before in previous relationships. Write these down without judgment. You're not planning to use this information against them. You're preparing yourself mentally for possibilities. Next, identify your own vulnerabilities. Do you have joint bank accounts? Are you financially dependent on them? Do you live in their house or apartment? Would losing them mean losing your entire social circle? These vulnerabilities become your action items. Open your own bank account, build your own income source, maintain friendships outside the relationship, create backup housing options. Now, map out specific responses. If they cheat, you'll immediately get tested for diseases, secure your finances, and move to your backup housing. If they steal money, you'll freeze joint accounts, document everything, and contact a lawyer. If they emotionally abandon you, you'll activate your support network and start the separation process. Having these steps written down prevents you from making desperate decisions in the heat of the moment. This preparation makes you more attractive because you're not needy or desperate for their validation. Needy people exhaust their partners with constant reassurance seeking. They make poor decisions because they're scared of being alone. When you know you'll be fine either way, you can focus on enjoying the relationship instead of protecting it from imaginary threats. Here's the psychological principle behind this. People respect and value what they can't completely control or predict. When your partner knows you could walk away and thrive, they treat you better. When they know betraying you would be pointless because you're prepared for it, they're less likely to try. You become valuable because you're not desperate to be kept. Your betrayal blueprint becomes your insurance policy against emotional devastation. Insurance doesn't prevent accidents, but it makes recovery possible. Your blueprint won't prevent all betrayals, but it will prevent them from destroying you. When something bad happens, you'll move through your predetermined steps instead of falling apart. The betrayal blueprint gives you strategic advantage and keeps you calm under pressure. While other people panic and make terrible choices during relationship crises, you'll execute your plans smoothly. This changes your entire relationship to heartbreak itself. What if I told you that heartbreak is completely optional and only happens to people who make one critical mistake? That mistake is tying your happiness and worth to another person's actions or loyalty. Most people walk into relationships already broken, looking for someone else to fix their emptiness. When that person leaves or betrays them, they fall apart because they never built a foundation that could stand alone. Your happiness and worth must be completely independent of another person's actions or loyalty. This sounds scary to most people because they've never learned to be complete on their own. They jump from relationship to relationship, always needing someone else to validate their existence. When you make your emotional state dependent on how someone treats you, you give them complete power over your life. Here's the uncomfortable truth that most people refuse to face. They use relationships to avoid dealing with their own emptiness. Instead of building a fulfilling life, they find someone to distract them from their problems. Instead of developing their own interests and goals, they make their partner's approval their main source of satisfaction. When the relationship ends, they have nothing left because they never built anything that was truly theirs. Building your identity and fulfillment from sources that no one else can touch or destroy requires serious work. Start with your career or business. Make yourself financially independent so you never need someone else's money to survive. Develop skills that make you valuable in the marketplace. Create multiple income streams that belong only to you. When your financial security doesn't depend on a relationship, you can make choices based on love instead of fear. Next, build your social network beyond your romantic partner. Maintain friendships that existed before your relationship started. Join groups and activities where you meet new people regularly. Develop mentoring relationships with people who can guide your personal growth. When your social life doesn't revolve around one person, losing them doesn't mean losing everything. Create personal projects and goals that give your life meaning. Maybe you want to learn a new language, start a non-profit, or master a creative skill. These projects belong to you completely. Your partner can support them or ignore them, but they can't take them away. When your sense of purpose comes from your own achievements, other people's opinions become less important. Now here's how you maintain emotional independence while still being vulnerable and loving. Love someone because you choose to, not because you need them to feel complete. Share your feelings and experiences because you want to connect, not because you need their approval. Support their dreams because you care about their happiness, not because you're afraid they'll leave if you don't. The difference between loving someone and needing them changes everything. Love is giving freely, without expecting anything back. Need is demanding that someone fill the holes in your life. Neediness destroys attraction and respect because it turns you into a burden instead of a gift. When you need someone, every interaction becomes about getting something from them. When you love someone, every interaction becomes about giving something to them. People who can't be emotionally destroyed become magnetic because they offer genuine strength, not weakness. They bring energy to relationships instead of draining it. They solve problems instead of creating them. They make their partner's life better instead of making it more complicated. Here's the ultimate mindset shift that makes you bulletproof against romantic devastation. When your worth isn't tied to someone else's behavior, heartbreak becomes impossible. You might feel sad when relationships end, but you won't feel destroyed. You might miss someone who leaves, but you won't lose yourself. This is the ultimate act of self-love and personal power. Here's the final revelation. True love requires the courage to risk losing someone, and you can only do that when you know you'll survive and thrive either way. Most people think love means clinging desperately to someone. Real love means being willing to let them go, if that's what's best. Start building your betrayal blueprint today. Stop being emotionally defenseless in your relationships. Map out your responses to worst-case scenarios. Build your financial independence. Create your support network. Develop your own sources of meaning and purpose. The strongest people are those who love without fear, because they've prepared for every outcome. If this message hit hard, make sure you hit that like button, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more brutally honest insights. Turn on notifications so you never miss another video that cuts straight to the core. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay sharp.